Hi, welcome to the Search Advertising Show. Today I'm going to be talking to you about proving the value of Google Ads. We shouldn't have to, but of course we do. In fact, scrub that. Let's rename the talk. I'm going to talk to you about improving as well as proving the value of Google Ads. I'm Jaye. I'm based in the southwest of the UK where, of course, we spend all day talking about jam or cream first on your scone. To be honest with you, though, I'm actually originally from London, but I'll take a scone either way, just don't tell my colleagues. Talking of my colleagues, I am the founder of Launch Online. We're an award-winning, ambitious paid media agency, and we spend all day managing Google Ads and driving results through digital ads, basically gambling with our clients' money to make them more successful. So for over 10 years now, I've been in the business of communicating and analysing the return on investment from paid media. Predominantly today, I'm going to be talking about Google Ads, but actually the principles can be applied to any of the digital advertising channels. And this talk is really relevant whether you're agency or in-house, B2B or D2C or everything in between. It's particularly relevant for businesses that have got multiple conversions that they're tracking from their campaigns. Perhaps, especially if all of those don't have immediate visible returns or revenue attached. So, for example, form fills or PDF downloads. Do also make sure you watch back at MeasureFest at BrightonSEO back in July, where Michael Patton, my colleague, did a brilliant talk about conversion tracking. It was called Conversions Big and Small. And it's really important that you are tracking a range of meaningful actions on your website, not just the end goal of the sign up or the closed deal. Everyone wants to know what value their Google Ads have delivered in terms of leads, sales, revenue. And it's our job to not only set up the campaigns to drive success, but also to be able to measure those too and walk that delicate balance between better quality and more volume of leads. The big difference now, though, is that Google needs to know that too. This, of course, is because of smart bidding and the advances in AI across all of the different advertising platforms means that we need to be feeding the right information for the machine learning to be most effective. These conversion-based smart bidding strategies are what we're going to particularly focus on today, because that is what helps prove the effectiveness of advertising from a direct results point of view. And it informs the platform so that it can use those signals to help drive more conversions and better performance. Of course, what we're really talking about today is value-based bidding. Ultimately, it's the effect of giving the advertising platforms the data on how much your conversions are worth to your business. And I mean all of the conversions with an emphasis on the all. The effect will be that your advertising will be more successful. I'm not just saying this because Google tells us this. I'm saying this because the team manage over £10 million worth of advertising, and we can see the effectiveness of moving to a value-based bidding strategy. If you saw my talk in July at the Paid Social Show for Brighton SEO, you'll know that I talk a lot about data hygiene. So I do need to caveat this talk right now with the fact that the quality of your data, that your conversion tracking implementation, that your cookie compliance is up to date, all of that is of paramount importance now more than ever. Whether you're talking about attribution modeling or understanding that very complex nature of how people make a decision and the path that they take, this is important. It's not just one click, one conversion. So this talk does require you to have good data hygiene. I would recommend that you go back and watch the talk. There's a link to it here. And there's also a really great white paper that Google wrote with the behavioral architects called Decoding Decisions. There's a link to it there, and I would recommend that. It talks all about the messy middle. You'll all be familiar with this screenshot if you're a paid media manager. And right now, many accounts in Google Ads, especially those legacy accounts that you might have set up a number of years ago, they might have conversion tracking set up. You will have used this form in order to be able to create that conversion action within Google Ads. And when I talk about a conversion, I either mean a form fill or perhaps a call. And it's likely that when you had originally set this up, you assigned a 0 value to it because you weren't able to pull the true value through. Example, a lead form is worth £100. It's very likely that a lot of your conversion actions across all of your campaigns have got a 0 value. And this is what we need to change. This is what the impact of a conversion-based bidding strategy, where you're not giving Google Ads the information for the AI to know which conversions are more valuable and important to your business. So in this scenario here, you've got perhaps all of your conversion actions with 0 value. You're saying to Google, all of these are important to my business, and therefore the smart bidding doesn't know which one to prioritize. And it might be over investing in some of the conversion actions, and there's also potentially a missed opportunity in others. And that's why we need to be able to give the AI the information about which conversions are more valuable to our business. So it's important to work through all those accounts that you've got access to and improve that conversion action. And this is the bar graph that Google uses to emphasize the end result, which is when you move to a value-based bidding model, you're able to tell Google this. In this example here, this student enrolled is the best conversion action and that has the most value to my business. Therefore, prioritize that above the others. So the rest of the talk, we're going to talk about actually how you can apply value-based bidding to your accounts and how you can assign and choose values to the conversion actions. So value-based smart bidding will work. It is worth taking time over this. Even though there will be points where it seems like hard work, it is worth the effort in the end. Of course, depending on which sector your business is in and what tech stack you're using, it can be easier for some than others. Those e-commerce businesses that are watching this should have enhanced e-commerce already working, pulling everything through from add to baskets to final transaction values. Those B2B businesses that are watching right now might have something like HubSpot or Salesforce and be able to import the conversion value attached to the form fills or PDF downloads, and even the offline conversion values where a sales lead comes in, it's tracked through HubSpot to a closed deal. However, for the majority, that's actually going to be impossible. Perhaps the deals take more than 90 days to close, or where offline conversion tracking doesn't pull through the information that you need. But hope is not lost. What we'll do in that scenario is use a proxy value, and we'll go through how you go about assigning that now. Just remember that there are two main criteria for you to be able to pull through a true value into the account. That lead to closed deal must be within a window of 90 days. Otherwise, it becomes ineligible because the information expires. Also, we recommend at least 15 conversions in a 30-day period. Again, if you're going to be using that conversion to do your smart bidding strategy from. And here's a really important reminder, which it is worth it. Revisit this slide when you were banging your head against a brick wall, because it is worth those bruises. When you put the effort in to importing conversion data or assigning data across that whole lead journey, on average, advertisers saw more revenue and more cost efficiency. So, like the Olympics, let's go for the bronze, silver, and gold analogy. The gold standard, of course, is going to be true values. Like I said, probably easy for the e-commerce businesses in the room, where the CRM or the conversion tracking can pull in that final deal value. In this example here, I've used, a conversion is a handbag purchase, and we know that handbag costs £525, and that's pulled into the Google Ads interface. But for those of you where the conversion cycle is more than 90 days, or you have less than 15 conversions in the last 30 days, this gold standard isn't going to be available, because that conversion action will be ineligible for value-based bidding. What's the most likely outcome for those who are going to implement value-based bidding is silver, which is where you will be able to see the true value of some of your conversion actions, perhaps, an e-commerce purchase, but there'll be other conversion actions like form fills, e-newsletter sign-ups, where you won't be able to assign a true value, and instead you'll need to be able to come up with a proxy value for it. And that's what we're going to work on next. And then there will be businesses in the room that, of course, you won't ever know the actual true conversion values. You'll need to work through a proxy value and put that within the conversion action. So here's step number one. You've got to decide what it is that you're going to measure. What conversions are you going to set up? We would recommend that you just concentrate, when you're using value-based bidding, on conversion actions that have an immediate impact on that path to purchase or path to a closed deal, rather than engagement stats like time on site or newsletter sign up. So go for something where you're partway through the lead process, things like calls, form submissions, online chats. Also, it is worth looking at your website and making sure that you do have all of those actions being tracked, or that there is something that you can hook a Google Tag Manager tag on to be able to track that conversion through. For those B2B businesses in the room, this is a good example here of where you need to go and start to define that lead to sales journey. So an example here is where you've got somebody coming into the business that becomes a lead, then for those B2B businesses in the room, this is where you can start to Step number 2 is to define that lead to sales journey. For many, it will look like this, and I'm using lead generation as an example here. And the number of events or the number of steps that it takes to go through to sale will be different per business. And for e-commerce businesses, it will be product views, add to baskets, and sales. But you need to make sure that these correspond to actions on your website or within your CRM, so that you can be able to track this lead to sales journey. Then it's the next step number 3, is to work out what the value is of that closed deal or sale. If you're using proxy values here, it's really important you sit down with the sales team or with your client to work out what that average sale price looks like. Actually, we've been working with clients where we look at the customer lifetime value, which is a really good indicator of the total value a customer will bring to you in their average number of purchases, perhaps 7 purchases in a 2-year period. Within the resource section at the end of this talk, I've also put in a link to a YouTube video that talks about how to kind of create that customer lifetime value calculator. It's a bit of a dull video, but it's got a great spreadsheet in that makes that a more simple process. So in this scenario here, I'm using a closed deal value of £5,000. The next step is to go one level back and work out what is the average conversion rate that takes you from this sales qualified lead to a closed deal. In this example, I've used 25%. Also, if you've got these steps already set up within goals in analytics, you can actually use real data to be able to understand your conversion rate at this point. But for some clients, you'll need to just work with their sales team to get an average number of conversions to close deals. So in this scenario, we use 25%. So we times the £5,000 of the closed deal value by 25%, and we get £1,250. Then again, you go one step further back. You work out the conversion rate from a marketing qualified lead to a sales qualified lead. I'm going to use the example of 50% here. So you times £1,250 by 50%, and you get a value of £625. Then the final step is to work out what the conversion rate is from those softer conversion actions that are leads, but we still have sales intent that become marketing qualified leads. So I've got a smaller conversion value here of 5%. It, of course, will be unique to your company, but in this scenario, I've used 5%. So 5%, £625 times 5% is £31.25. So now for the 4 actions that I'm tracking within Google Ads, I have assigned a value to each of these. I've said that the basic lead coming in is worth £31.25, but a closed deal is worth £5,000. Once you've worked out these proxy values, and you can then edit the conversions that you've set up within Google Ads to put these proxy values in. If the conversion actions don't exist within Google Ads at this point, then you should create them within there. And to begin with, just let the data collect before you add them to your columns. So don't add them to your conversion columns at this point. Just let the data collect, and actually, while when you've created that conversion action within Google Ads, it's also worth checking what attribution you're using. Do not use last click attribution. Linear or time decay would be recommended. I do want to say at this point that things can go wrong. And here's just a cautionary tale to make sure that you give due consideration to what proxy values you are assigning. When value-based bidding was first in beta a few years ago, one of our colleagues had a client that was in the car sales industry. There was 2 particular lead generation points: a brochure download and a test drive booking. So in order to be able to put a value attached to each of these conversion actions, they put a value of £5 for a brochure download and a test drive booking a value of £50, which they kind of felt was the right number. After the first month, the machine learning started to prioritize the brochure download, and they got 130 times more conversions, which in the interface looked fantastic. But when they dug a bit deeper, they realized that actually they'd only had 1 more conversion of a test drive booking, and the client wasn't impressed. So they went back to the drawing board, and they actually took a clearer look at what the business was trying to achieve. So they talked to the client, and they found out that actually only 1 brochure download in 100 turned into a test drive. So they adjusted the values accordingly, assigned a value of 5 to a brochure download and 500 to a test drive booking based on that conversion rate. Then the results were fantastic. So they took it up a notch. They worked out that for every car that was sold, there was an average value across the whole business of £3,400. And only 1 in 10 test drive booking actually went on to buy a car. So working back, they took the £3,400, 10% of that is 340, and therefore a brochure download, that 1 to 100, gave a value of 3, and things really took off. So it definitely does work. Here are the main things that you need to ensure when applying value-based bidding. First of all, check the accuracy. Set up the conversion actions and wait a full conversion cycle to see if the data coming through is accurate. Is the new conversion action working, and are the values being tracked properly? 2, once you're happy that those conversions are right, import those into the conversion column with the updated conversion data. If they are new, then add them to the conversion column without yet getting rid of the old conversions. Then wait three full conversion cycles before you decide what smart bidding strategy you're going to move to. It's likely you're going to move from a CPA strategy to, of course, a ROAS strategy at this point. But it is important you have enough data in the account for you to be able to understand which is going to be more successful and perhaps what ROAS you're going to be targeting. And 4, that's when you then apply the bid strategy. Google has done a really nice little table here, and I have got a resource right at the end of this talk for you to be able to download a PDF that takes you through this in much, much more detail. And here's just a reminder that it really is worth this effort. This example here was an espresso case study, but there are countless examples that we've got in our business of even small businesses that are seeing really great gains from this. So here is the slide with the resources. I've also put this on SlideShare, so do go on, take a look there, or you can go on to our YouTube channel and take a look there as well. Thank you so much for your time today. Do go ahead, do go back, look at your clients' work, see how you can apply value-based bidding, and you will get better results.